Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in or on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM. We welcome you all back to our program, as well as tuning in through our online affiliates around the world and through iHeartRadio.com. We're glad to have all of you with us as well. It's hard to believe, but I actually met our next guest, and someone who I'm glad to call a friend, some 7 years ago. It was the summer of 2010. We were a part of a competition for the Oprah Winfrey Network, got a chance to interview her on the program then, and there was just something about Shari Alyse that made me want to stay connected with her and follow her journey, and what an amazing journey it's been, even in those 7 years. Now, she's not only the founder of Sharing with Shari, but the co-founder of the Wellness Universe. We've talked about both of those things in the past on this program, but as we're kicking off a new year, I wanted to welcome her back to talk to us not only about what it's been like for her to open up to the world, but also to see the way that she's been able to impact people around the world, not only through the work she's doing, but also by the way she's living her life. She has some great things coming up in 2018. We're going to get to that and let you all know how to stay connected with her. But Shari, hello to you and welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. It is such a pleasure to spend time with you again and to know you for 7 years. 7
years? Can you believe it? 7 years. I mean, sometimes I tell people losing is not always a bad thing, right?
Well, yeah, I tell myself that all the time.
Every
time I lose something.
Yeah, I think it's a great lesson, and that's why I'm so glad we get a chance to talk again, Shari. I have been such a fan of you since I first was introduced to you 7 years ago, and the work you've been able to do with Sharing with Shari, and then, of course, we've had you on the program to talk about, the co-founding of the Wellness Universe. What has it been like for you to kind of reflect on this journey, Shari, of where you started off, and now where you find yourself in the world today?
Wow, that is such a great question, because I believe that we're always on this ongoing journey, right? So one of the things that I have learned to embrace is the fact that I'm not perfect as much as I want to be. Which I know it's really hard to believe, but the truth is that it is a constant reminder for myself to be able to look back and remind myself of the things that I've accomplished. Because for people who have so much drive and so much ambition, and for myself who wants to change the world, you can get easily lost in not doing enough, or am I? And so when you ask a question like, how has it been to see how much I've accomplished, that's actually something that I work on to remind myself, so that I always know that I'm doing enough and I am enough. And that's one of the messages that I love to share with people.
And you do that so well. In fact, at the time we were having this conversation, you actually shared that message today. And I think it is a great reminder for us all. And I'm glad you said this, Shari, because it also reminds people, no matter how far you get, no matter how much you've quote unquote made it, there will always be insecurities. There will always be those times that you'll look at yourself and feel as though you're not worthy, you have not done enough. But I think the great thing about you is that there are so many hats that you wear. A hat of a survivor. You've been able to share your story online about what you've been able to endure and to overcome, Shari. But also, I think the fact that you have gotten more comfortable in your own skin, and that is something you've documented quite well. Now, what has that aspect been like for you, to not only to be able to deal with these things that you're dealing with, but then to be able to turn on a camera, turn on your phone, and to share them with the world the way that you do?
Oh, it is honestly like a pleasure. If I do not turn on that camera for a day or for a moment, I feel like there's something stuck inside of me, which, sharing your personal journey, all aspects of it, from revealing that I wear a wig, from talking openly about my sexual abuse, for starting, if you saw years ago, I always had to be perfect on camera, and now I'm like, my friends are like, you never wear makeup. I'm like, because the truth of who we are isn't, like I said, perfect in every moment. So for me, it is a part of my being to want to share an honest and truthful look at our lives, because, in this inspirational world, or in this online world where everybody's got the resolution, like the solution to something, we look at people and we think their lives are so perfect and they have it all together. And yet, if you talk to them, they're filled with the insecurities and the doubts. And I think we need more people in the world who speak their truth, who show their imperfections. And so that, for me, is why you will see me anywhere at any time and talking about anything.
Yeah. And along that journey, and I thought about this as I was prepping for the segment with you, Shari, you have been able to, again, as I say, chronicle that through videos, through posts you've made online. The Internet has definitely been your friend and been your microphone to the world. I mean, has it always been clear to you, though, that that was something that you wanted to take full advantage of? I mean, both of us, as I said, we met 7 years ago. We were, wanting to be a part of something great with Oprah Winfrey on her network. At this particular time in our lives, that has not happened yet, and I'll say yet because who knows what tomorrow may bring, right? But have you always known that even without that platform that you wanted to use what was at your disposal to share your truth?
Yes, absolutely. I knew that there was always something, from the time I was a little girl, I knew that there was something inside of me that just needed to share truths, whatever that was. And I didn't know it was always going to be the Internet, obviously, because it wasn't around, but whether it was on the Oprah Winfrey Network or my own, my own talk show, my standing on stages, it didn't matter. There is this message inside of me that bubbles over out of me, and so whatever is available to me, I will use. And, when MySpace came along many, many years ago, they had that option, and it was like suddenly like this, light bulb for me that was, I could put a video on here, and I could write text, and I could, share with people around the world. And then that was it for me. It was like, you cannot quiet me down now.
Yeah. And you have used your voice along the way, and again, people have responded. And not only the people in your very large tribe that you've been able to build online, Shari, but also people who hear about your tribe through posts that they have shared. Have you gotten used to that, where people come up to you, where they write you or send you messages letting you know how something you said or something that you shared has touched them?
I am still so humbled by that, and I don't think that it's ever anything that you get used to, because in those moments of self-doubt, in those moments of am I doing enough, am I being enough, when you realize that one thing that you have done has touched somebody or changed somebody, it is just a feeling that you'll never be able to explain. I can't, and that's what keeps driving me to keep doing it, because I believe we're here on purpose and for a purpose. And when you're able to be that purpose, it's like everything.
Yeah. And I think that is a reminder for all of us, no matter where we may live in the world. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. I'm excited to welcome back to our program today Shari Alyse. She's not only an individual who's been a motivator for myself, but also people literally around the world. She's the founder of Sharing with Shari. We'll remind you how you can stay connected with that, but also the co-founder of the Wellness Universe, who has built an amazing platform for individuals to be able to come and to share and to grow. I want to talk about that because, partnerships has definitely been a big part of you, Shari, being able to connect with like-minded individuals. Talk to us about what it's been like for you since the founding of the Wellness Universe, to see the response to it.
Wow. So that is something that still amazes me every single day, because when you are in something and doing it day in and day out, you don't often reflect on what you've built, or at least I don't. And the fact that my partner and I, Anna Pereira, that we have brought together a community of over 2,500 world changers, basically all wellness practitioners who are wanting to better the world in one of their areas of wellness. For me to be able to gather that together and support it and uplift it is so moving for me and so empowering to be able to connect with a community of people who are all with the same vision, and that ultimately is to better the planet.
Right, for sure. And to do it in your own particular way. This is something that, as much, and you bring up a really good point about, none of us being perfect, Shari. And one of the things I've struggled with openly, and I've talked about it more on this program, is that you can't be all things to all people. And I think that is, sometimes is something we have to remind ourselves of. But also, there are ways that you want to be able to help people that unfortunately you're not able to, which makes the Wellness Universe so important, because where you may not have a gift or a strong point, someone else as part of that tribe that we talked about may have that. Has that also been one of the great things for you, to make sure that you're able to use the people around you in their respective ways?
Absolutely. As someone who, that was again a great question, Cyrus, as someone who always wanted to be the savior or the everything for everybody, and then finally having to realize that I can't do it all. And even if I was able to, I don't even have the time in the day to do it all.
Right.
To be able to have a community of people that you turn to. And you know what? Like, if you have like 100 life coaches, it doesn't matter. No one's competing with one another, because someone's going to align with someone else more than they will with, a different person. So I think what we need in this world are people who support each other and lift each other up and work together, as opposed to this whole competitive mindset that we're so used to in the world, that you got to step on somebody or be better than.
Yeah. And that brings us to what you're doing this year in particular, Shari. I mean, you've kind of ramped it up and being able to put yourself out there. I think that the other thing is, I mean, as you're trying to not only empower individuals, especially women, but you also are showing us all that, look, you can be able to embrace the gift within you. Talk to us about how that's kind of led you to the things that you're doing for 2018.
Well, I'm so excited about this. What you're talking about is my program that I'm launching. It's called Own Your Badass Self. And BADASS stands for Brave, Authentic, Daring, Amazing, Self-Confident, Superwoman Self. And what that is I feel like it's my life, story, because for so long, we want to be everything and be like other people and want to just be these things that we ultimately cannot be, because the only thing we can do is be ourselves. And so many women especially are standing on the sidelines of their life and wanting to feel like they're enough and thinking that they don't have it. And so for me, this is the most amazing opportunity to get women to step into their power, to own their greatness, to use their voices, especially now with what's going on in the world and, the whole Me Too movement. I feel like this is our time as women to come together and to really stand up and stand out and be badder, braver, and bolder in our lives.
Yeah, and that is something, again, you are showing by example. Again, I mean, talk to us about that aspect of it, Shari, for you to be able to hear from these women about how they're not only excited to be able to learn from you, but also to grow with you.
Well, I think what women and people in general really need are community. I think what happens is that we spend so much of our time on our own and in our own heads, and again, thinking that we're not doing enough or that there's more for us. And when you surround yourself with other people and actually dig in and speak to people, you end up realizing that we're all kind of traveling the same journey together, and we all have a lot of the same insecurities and doubts. So to be able to gather a tribe of women who all in their own right have their own challenges, but really they're all the same, it's the most beautiful and empowering thing that we can do is lift one another up and be there to support each other, which I feel like having your A-team around you. And that's what I'm excited to bring women together to be able to do for one another.
Yeah. Fear is one of the things I talk about a whole lot on this show. I mean, I think we all have it in some way or another, some area or another. How have you not allowed the fear of not being enough, the fear of not bringing enough? How have you not allowed that, Shari, to stop you in embracing what you have, the time you have, and the gifts that you have?
Ooh, fear. So everyone talks about, be fearless and, fear is not real, and I'm like, no, fear is real. For me, it is there. Yeah, you can't deny it, but what it is, for me specifically, is about not letting it take you down. It's about acknowledging it, seeing that it's there, recognizing it, and then also knowing that it's there to serve you as opposed to almost drown you. So for me, anything that I've ever been through that I've been scared of, I look back, and this is where reflection is so good in your life, because I'm able to look back and go, oh, man, you did that. Oh, man, you made it through that. Oh, that wasn't as scary as you thought it was going to be. So I've learned really well how when that fear shows up, I just got to step right into it, because I know that it's there to push me to grow and to unfold into a better version of myself. And I think that it's like that for everybody, a compass of sorts.
Right, for sure. And I think, too, I mean, the acknowledging of it, I think is so important, because I think it's like in other things in our lives. I mean, just because we ignore something does not mean it's not really there, or not really real. And I think, like you said, to be able to confront it is definitely important. And, you started preparing for 2018 and what you're doing with this mini course, Shari, again, using social media as that platform. There's so much people can learn from you. And I said to you, actually, when we were setting up this conversation, how proud I am of the way that you are not only putting yourself out there, but also embracing social media in its many forms. Even things, for me, there's some things I have not done yet when it comes to social media that you are really embracing, going live. And, talk to us about that aspect and how social media has helped you in those regards to be able to share this content.
Well, it's such a blessing to be able to have social media at our fingertips, because to be able to connect directly with people who are looking or needing or don't even know that they need it. For me, I'm still learning, and that was the thing that we're talking about, like being perfect. I'm embracing right now Instagram, and it is so new to me, and I watch yourself especially, and all of these people do these great things on Instagram, and I'm like, I want to know how to do it, and the only way I feel to do anything in life is really to just do it. And so I could have sat and kept watching and never doing and going, I don't know how, or I could just jump right into it. And that's really what I've done with everything. And so that's what I do on social media, is that I just show up. I show up in all ways that I can, through video, through live, through just putting it out there, because at some point someone's gonna jump or, sign up or do something. You're going to help somebody, especially when you show up as your imperfect self, which I do quite often.
Yeah. Well, look, I do as well. I'm going to ask you a question that I've been grappling with as this new year has begun. Not to put you on the spot or anything, Shari, but it's a question that may sound weird, but I think you'll get what I mean. Do your gifts, do they scare you? Yes.
Just like a big yes. I think often about, this is such a great question, and it's almost like you read my mind, because I was just crying about this yesterday, because I really feel like there's so much more of me that hasn't even been unleashed yet. And it's almost as if, I don't know if I know deep inside that I can handle it, but it's scary, like you said, and when you know you have such a responsibility for it. But they're scary, because you know that it's what you're here for, and it's ultimately everything. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. And I bring that up for a couple of reasons. One, of course, like I said, I've been dealing with it myself, because I think so many times, how did this even happen? And I have been chastised lately, because, my go-to default, is always, I'm just this country boy from Mississippi, and I had someone recently take me to the woodshed on that, like, you are not just a country boy from Mississippi, but I am just a country boy from Mississippi, but that's just my thing. But I said that for our audience out there, Shari, because a lot of them know they've been given something, and for whatever reason they're hiding it. Whether they think they can't live up to the responsibility of it, or they don't know how people are going to receive it, or maybe even question, well, how are you going to do that, or what makes you think you can do that? What would you say to those people out there about the importance of not hiding their gifts, but embracing those gifts?
I think that, and this is just going to be straight up blunt, I think that if you're not acknowledging them and using them, then you're being selfish in the world. And I mean that so lovingly, because I feel like we've been gifted this. You have been gifted that. And to not own up to the responsibility, you're cheating the world and you're cheating yourself. And then we wonder why we feel, not content, why we still feel incomplete, why the things that we're doing still don't feel right, or we always feel that there's more. And I believe that once you finally do just step up and own what you're here to do, it's almost as if you can finally breathe again. That all of this weight and all of this stress and everything that you carry around, it's just like, oh, here I am. So for anyone that's listening, I would say just listen up, show up, and trust. Trust in what's stirring inside of you. Trust in your heart. Trust that this has been gifted to you for a reason, and whatever scary thoughts you have going on in your head, that's just you trying to protect yourself. But the moment that you step out of your own way and you allow it to come through you, it's going to be like you're finally living.
Right. I totally agree, and I think that is the big thing, and I hope our audience realizes that it's not about being special. It's just about, as you said, even recently, again in your video, Shari, it's about just embracing yourself, embracing who you are, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that there's so much pressure, especially with social media. Social media is a beautiful thing, but it could also be a very high-stress thing and a lot of comparison of what other people are doing, and then should I be doing that? Should I be saying it that way? Should I be acting that way? How come they're doing that? Like, we spend so much of that we often forget that what we've been gifted with and who we are is enough, is exactly what we're supposed to show up as. And I got that reminder recently, too, because I can get sucked into that world, and like, oh, look at this coach, or their program's so successful, or they're having that. And just recently I was taking one of my morning walks, and I got this message that was like, literally, Shari, you do not have to save the world. And for some, that might be like, well, yeah, you can't, you're only one person. But for someone like me who's had this in me since I was a little girl, it was such like this relief to hear. And I thought, well, what do I have to do then? And the answer came simply, just show up. Show up as you. And when you can do that, it's like, it's like the easiest thing to do and the hardest thing to do in the world.
I totally agree, Shari. And believe me when I say the way that you're showing up is definitely making a difference. You're impacting people around this world. And, just like I hear all the time, you're touching people that you don't even realize that you're touching. I was reading recently a blog post. Someone was talking about an interview with me, and they actually ended up mentioning you because I had shared something that you had posted and how much it touched them. So I think, that is the thing. We just never know where those ripples will go. And I think that's the beautiful thing about what you just shared about showing up, because unless we show up, we won't be able to touch anyone, and that is, definitely, as you said, a selfish thing for sure. So before we let you go, Shari, I want you to recap with us again. The mini course is coming up. Let our audience know again what they can expect and also how they can get involved.
Absolutely. So it launches January 15th, so it's right around the corner, and it's a 4-week program. It's for women only. Each week we're going to tackle a different aspect of our lives so that you can step up and live a bolder life, live a truthful life, live an authentic life, and live one that feels good. Like I said, it starts January 15th. You can find out all the information on my site, sharingwithshari.com, or at the Wellness Universe under my name, Shari Alyse. I really think that it is time for women to step up, to own our truth and our power, and ultimately know the badasses that we are.
Well, definitely make sure you all are signing up with Shari. Take advantage of this opportunity, and make sure you all are also finding her on social media, Shari, to let our audience know where they can find you online as well.
Okay, so they can find me, of course, at thewellnessuniverse.com. You just put in the search bar, Shari Alyse, and I'll pop right up. On Facebook, I'm Sharing with Shari. And then Instagram, Twitter, everywhere else, it's just Shari Alyse.
Okay. So make sure you're definitely staying connected with Shari. Shari, so glad to call you a friend. So glad to have you back on the program. Excited about what you're doing with this mini course. We'll be, of course, sharing the information through this conversation, through our platforms. And it goes without saying, the door is always wide open for you. Looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus. I appreciate you. I love what you're doing, and I wish you and your audience the best 2018 ever.
Thank you so much, Shari. Appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late and missed part of the conversation with Shari, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site, so head over to facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there, too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.